Hello everyone, welcome to the fourth video of Exactly Like You month. And this month we're looking at that great tune, and we had a solo by Django, two solos by Django, and a solo by Stan Getz. And in today's video we're going to explore some of the best ideas from that solo. And also as a bonus, I have a guest teacher this episode who's going to show you some of his favorite concepts on Exactly Like You. In total, I have selected 7 phrases from the 3 solos, and here's phrase number 1 from the 1940 Django solo. And first I'll demonstrate it slowly, and then I'll use it in an improv on the chords of Exactly Like You. 1, 2, 3, 4. Three, 4. You probably noticed that it wasn't just one phrase, it was 2 very similar phrases. And the first phrase is the phrase from the Django solo. And the second phrase is the phrase that I normally play. And that's the phrase that I learned from Stochler Rosenberg, and they are very similar. I think the second one might be a little bit easier, but the original Django one is actually really cool. It's a little bit shorter, ends on a different beat, has a different flavor, so I just thought I'd show you both. Now, if you have trouble with the triplets, let's say the tempo is really fast for another tune, it's easy to adapt it to 8th notes. You could just play something like this. Something like that, or... Easy to vary this lick to play it both in 8th notes or in triplets or with other embellishments. Let's go to phrase number 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Again, this phrase is from the same solo, the 1940 Django solo. And by the way, if you want to learn the whole solo, there's a link to the video in the description in which I teach you the complete solo. And what I like about this phrase is that it is very bluesy and that it is easy to use outside of Exactly Like You. For instance, on the blues. If you have a blues in C, right, in the 5th bar we go to F7, this would be a perfect phrase. At least the first 2 bars. And what is happening is Django is playing C minor. He's thinking C minor. So that's a neat trick. If you have chords going from C to F or C to F7, you can think about going from C major to C minor. So that's a very convenient way of making those chord changes. Of course, in the bridge of Exactly Like You, we go from F to F minor, and Django really plays an F minor sound. F minor 6 actually. Great ideas to use yourself. Let's go to the third phrase. 3, 4, 1, 2. One, two. I talked about this particular 251 lick at length in the original video in which I teach the complete solo, but I'll say it again. What I like about it is that Django goes from using an A flat, a flat 9, to an A, which is pretty unusual because normally I would maybe think D minor to G7, flat 9. So you make the movement from going from A to A flat, and then resolve to C. But the other way around is actually pretty cool. This way you go from a darker sound with that A flat to a more open sound with that A. Also, this lick is very easy to embellish or change. Now it starts on beat 3, but you could start on beat 1, just playing it as is, and then you would resolve a little early. Or you could play some notes before it, maybe like... or of course, it's your job to experiment with the phrases. Now, before we go to phrase number 4, I think it's time to introduce my guest teacher and also to talk a little bit about the practice of teaching jazz guitar on YouTube. I've been thinking about that a lot lately, just because it's what I do every day now with the pandemic. I'm not doing gigs or concerts. Actually, all the concerts that I had left, I canceled. And it didn't really matter because they got canceled anyway. So I've been doing this mostly, and it's very enjoyable. But of course, it's a different way to engage with the music, and it's a different way to express yourself as a jazz musician, though very enjoyable. Now, being a jazz guitar teacher on YouTube is let's say, a niche activity. There's not many people doing it. And there were some people that were doing it earlier, like a couple of years ago, that also stopped. And some new people are entering this field, and they will discover that it's actually pretty hard to gain traction with a channel about jazz guitar. Not as hard as gaining traction with a channel about jazz violin, I can tell you. But with the guitar, it's pretty tough. Of course, there's many guitar teachers, but if you teach music with more practitioners, of course, you'll get more traction. So I've been watching most of the jazz guitar channels for inspiration to see what is happening, and also to just see their concept of teaching. And the channels that I watch mainly are the biggest channel, I think, for jazz guitar is Jens Larsen. The biggest channel, of course, is Rick Beato, but he teaches lots of things, not only jazz. But when he teaches jazz, it's very interesting. And then there is another teacher that I watch a lot, is called Mikko Hilden. By the way, links to all these people are in the description. And in gypsy jazz, there is, of course, Robin Nolan and Joshua Stefan. And we all have very different teaching styles. And that, I think, is very valuable, because sometimes it might seem that my teaching style is opposite of someone else and I don't agree with their teaching. But that is not the case, and I should say this more often, because the way I teach jazz guitar is just the way that I learned it myself. And I'm not saying that is the best way, not at all, because I know that my teaching is very non-traditional and might not be for everyone. Right? My de-emphasis of theory, for example, might not be the best road for everyone. But I would recommend, if you're not familiar with these channels that I was mentioning, to check them out to see if there is something there that you might really like. And you don't have to stick with one channel. You can switch between channels. And I think especially the jazz guitar channels can deserve a little bit more attention, just because of the struggle of getting views and getting subscribers, which I can tell you is really, really very difficult. So I discovered this new channel, relatively new channel, maybe 3 months ago, and I was immediately struck by the quality of both the teaching and the playing. And I thought to myself, wow, this is really cool teaching. He has a really cool concept of making the videos and getting the information across, but very few subscribers, and also not gaining lots of new subscribers fast. So I contacted him and said, you know what, why don't you film a segment that I can put in my video so I can get more viewers to your channel, because he obviously deserves many more subscribers. So one of the things that I really like about his videos, apart of course from the quality of information and playing, is that he's not wasting your time. And that's something that I could learn something from, because I have the tendency to ramble like I'm doing now, but I'm trying to better my life. And I have a weekly live stream now that I just started. That video is for rambling, but these videos should be very condensed. And I'm trying to do that, really. Anyway, his name is Nathan Borton, and he recorded a video about some concepts that you can use on the A part. And you can see his teaching style is not the same as mine. There's maybe a little bit more theory involved, but he's showing you really nice licks that you can use immediately, and the information is very condensed. So let's watch it together, and then I'll see you right back after the video. Okay, Nathan, take it away.
Hey everyone, first off, I just wanted to say thank you to Christian for having me on this channel. I'm looking forward to talking to you guys about the A section of the great tune, Exactly Like You. If you haven't heard this song, there's a really great version of Frank Sinatra and Nat King Cole singing and performing this song together. It's always a good idea with these classic songbook tunes to look up a vocal recording to learn it off of, so that way you can get the syllables and the lyrics. Now the chords of the A section of this song have the same changes as Duke Ellington's classic Take the A Train. For our first chord, that C major 7, you can use either static major jazz language, or you can just play the blues. Look at Charlie Parker rhythm changes solos for examples on where to get the static major jazz bebop language. Secondly, we have this D7. When playing over this chord, try to play off the A melodic minor scale. This will give us a nice sharp 11 sound, which is commonly used over a dominant 2 chord, such as this one. Here are a couple ideas that you could play over this kind of chord. Another way that you could approach soloing over this is to focus on the 3rd of this chord, which is F sharp, going to the 3rd of the next chord after that, which is D minor, so that would be F. This chromatic movement from F sharp to F is what really solidifies the change of the D7 going to D minor in the listeners and our ears. For the rest of the song, we just have basic 2/5 progressions, so you can use your already internalized jazz language over these kind of chord progressions. But for the purposes of this video, I have some ideas that you could use over these kind of chords. Let's check them out. Thanks so much for listening, and hopefully you got some new ways to approach playing over these chord changes. Now, back to you, Christian.
Thanks, Nathan. That was a really cool lesson. Exactly like I expected it to be. Short, condensed, valuable information, great playing, and some really cool licks for all of you and me to use. And I really like that blues lick. I'll probably use it all the time. This is a cool lick to move around the guitar. That's played in a different key. That's played in E flat. Anyway, I hope you liked that video of Nathan, and I would ask you, if you like it, please go check out his channel. There's a link in the description, and subscribe to his channel. Let's try to get him to 5,000 subscribers. I think he's around 1,000, 1,100. So it's going to take a lot of work to get to 5,000, but it is possible. No, it's going to take some time, Nathan, but I think you know that. Let's continue with phrase number 4. 3, 4, 1. 3, 4, 1. This is a lick that I took from the Stan Getz solo, and I adapted it to be played in 8th notes because the original is in 16th notes, and that is possible to do in the tempo that they were playing it in. But if you want to play it in a more medium swing tempo or medium fast swing tempo, then the 16th notes might be a problem. So I changed it to 8th notes, and that really works. Now, the tab says G7, 2 bars to C, and that is what I'm playing on the backing track, but you could also just think a 2-5. D minor 7 G7 C works great. There's an E major triad, but if you play it on top of a G7, you get this sound. That is a really pretty sound. That ending is not something that Stan Getz actually played. That's something that I like. But that ending is easy to adapt. You could do many things. Maybe do that Clifford Brown thing. Before we go to the next phrase, I'd like to say once more that I'm running a Black Friday deal on my Patreon, which basically means that the highest tier, which would normally be 28 euros, is now only 15 euros to get access to everything on my Patreon, which is hundreds and hundreds of pages of tab and dozens of exclusive videos. I know it sounds like I'm exaggerating, but if you would join my Patreon and check out the index and look at all the videos and all the stuff that is there, it's just mind-boggling, even to me. And it happened completely organically, but I'm still amazed about the amount of videos and the amount of tab that's there. Let's go to the next phrase. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. Another Stan Getz phrase that I adapted from originally a 16th note fast line. So now it's in 8th notes and much easier and also much more usable. The nice thing about this is this B major triad on top of G. So what he's doing there, he's thinking C diminished, major 7. Which is a common way to play a sound that resolves to C. But of course it doesn't really fit exactly on G7. But if you play it at the end of that G7 bar, it works because both G7 and this sound resolve to C. So it's a neat trick that you hear all the time, mainly in BeBop players like Charlie Parker and Joe Pass, for example. Let's go to the next phrase, which comes from the 1936 Django solo. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. This 2-5-1 lick, or it's more of a 5-1 lick, more of a G7 to C, but you can play it on D minor 7, G7 to C, is Django employing the G7 augmented sound to great effect. This note. Again, it has become one of my favorite 2-5-1 licks to play and very easy to find because you just find the root on the B string and then it's quite compact. You don't have to travel a lot on the guitar neck. Originally, Django is playing it with open strings. Which of course is very cool, but you cannot move that. So that's why I changed it to a lick starting on the B string. So now you can play it in every key. So you want to play it on B flat. Would be B flat 7 to E flat. Let's go to the last phrase. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. A typical Django lick with lots of creative bends. It doesn't work as well on a archtop as it does on a Gypsy Disc guitar, but it is still pretty cool. What I like most about this lick is not the bends, although I really like them, but it's the rhythmic nature of this lick. It's very unpredictable. I'm not sure what it is, but it sounds kind of magical. Maybe it's that. One thing to notice about this lick is that it is not only for a 2-5-1 or 5-5-1, but it is actually for a 2-5-1-5-1. So that is the end, for example, of Exactly Like You, but also a song like Dinah. Dinah, you have G, C7, G, A minor 2, D7, 5, 1, 5, second A. So there's many songs with the first A ending like that and the third A. And if you don't have that, you can just play the lick until the first note of the fourth bar. But it's not as pretty as having that ending. But then you need to go back to the one chord. So remember that I probably would only use this lick if I have that situation, because I want to play the complete thing if I play this lick, because I'm channeling Django when I'm doing that and I don't want to disturb that channeling. That was it for this video, and we're almost at the end of Exactly Like You month. There will be one more video in which I'm teaching you how to play rhythm guitar for Exactly Like You. And then next month will be Barry Harris month. And that is because I am writing my second book about bebop guitar using the same methodology that I used in my first book, which is just going from having no knowledge about jazz guitar to learning how to improvise at a reasonably advanced level. By the way, that book, of course, is for sale both in the US. There's a link in the description to buy it at jungle-guitarstore.com, or you can buy it in Europe by sending an email to this email address with subject Van Hemert System Book, and then you'll be contacted for further info. There's links to both of those things in the description. So I'm writing my second book, and I wanted to dive a little bit into Barry Harris to see some of the bebop language he's using. And I thought a good opportunity for me to do that would be to dedicate a whole month to it. So next month is Barry Harris month, and hopefully I will see you in one of those videos. If you like this video, please give it a like, subscribe, not only to me, but also to Nathan Borton. And until next time, bye.